Ladies and gentlemen, and hockey fans of all ages, welcome back to another exciting edition of Randy Talks Hockey. My name is Randy Dillon. Hockey season is fastly approaching, ladies and gentlemen. Yesterday, we saw some prospect games happening around the league. We got training camp happening this week, and then 1 week from today, the first preseason game between the Arizona Coyotes and the Vegas Golden Knights. Then we got the regular season. Hockey's so close, you can just taste it. It's just like that turkey dinner on Thanksgiving. You can just smell that turkey. You can taste those mashed potatoes. Enough about turkeys, though. What I'm mostly going to be talking about in this video is I'm going to be talking about this coaches and general managers that are on the hot seat. The pressure's on these coaches and the general managers to do well. If not, there's a good chance they're going to be fired. If we have time at the end, I'm hopefully to talk about some quick other news that has happened, but this will be the main focus here. Now, the first NHL coach I'm going to talk about is the head coach of the Nashville Predators, Peter Laviolette. The pressure is high on Nashville, especially 2 years ago at the end of the 2016-17 season. The Predators made the Cup final, losing in 6 games to the Penguins. Now, they did not have Ryan Johansson. David Poile has done his best to load up this team to show they're ready to win. Got Kyle Turris, but last season it was just a nightmare between him and Laviolette. I think Turris had around 30 points. Just the production was low there. I know in the 27-18 season they were doing well, but the goaltending of Pekka Rinne was the downfall there. But last year the big problem was the power play. In the 2018 season, the Preds power play was 21.2%. Last year, they were dead last in the league at 12.9%. As a result of this, PK Subban was shipped off to New Jersey. I know last year was a low production in points for him, but the power play struggled, and I think that's the big reason why the Preds lost to the Stars in round 1. Now, this year, the Preds did add Matt Duchene. Hopefully that can fix the power play. But the pressure's on Laviolette to get this team to win. I believe it's the last chance to win a Stanley Cup with this core group of players. My expectation in order for Laviolette to keep his job, I think the Preds have to make the Stanley Cup final or win the Cup. It's that simple. Laviolette does have a good team, a strong defensive core, a good goaltending. They have a good group of forwards, no elite skill, but it's a good collective group of guys like Ryan Johansson, Matt Duchene, Peter Ford, with Victor Arbuthnot, and even Mikael Granlund there. So Laviolette, you got to make the finals or maybe win a cup in my eyes. If not, you're going to get canned. The next coach I'm going to talk about on the hot seat he is from the Toronto Maple Leafs, the head coach, Mike Babcock. Babcock, the expectation have been in trouble always high for the Leafs, especially 2 years in a row they lose the Bruins in Game 7. And the big problem here with the expectation for Babcock is time management. You look at these minutes here in the 2019 Game 7 between the Bruins and the Leafs. You had Matthews had 1848 minutes. All right, that's not bad. But then you guys have Zach Hyman had 18 minutes and 6 seconds. Andreas Johnson, 17 minutes and 20 seconds. Patrick Marleau, 14 minutes and 35 seconds. Where Tavares and Marner are in the 20s. Now, I think Matthews should be up there, especially in a must-win situation. But he's not. So I think that could be the problem there for Babcock, player management. We do know he likes to employ 4 lines, especially with Team Canada, but he doesn't have the personnel to do that. Now, if Mike Babcock wants to keep his job, I believe the Leafs will have to make the conference final. If not, they're probably going to play the Bruins again. They got to get through the Bruins and most likely the Lightning. It's a daunting task if Mike Babcock wanted to keep his job. The other thing, reduce the shots against per game. The Leafs are up there last year they're the 5th team to allow the most shots on goal, especially for Freddie Anderson. You want to keep him fresh, reduce that workload. The next coach to talk about on the hot seat, Paul Maurice. Now, Maurice has been with the Jets for a while. 3 trips to the playoffs, especially 2 years ago, where he 2 seasons ago where he took the Jets to the conference final. Now, the expectation at the Canadian City, they're high. They want to win the cup. He did lose quite a bit in defense. But I think the big thing's going to be Laine and Kyle Connor are when they're going to sign. If they sign to start right before the season, the pressure's on Maurice. If not, maybe he gets them more time. The big thing going to be with Patrick Laine, if he does sign, in his production. Last year, he had about 50 points, 30 goals. The year before, he was in the high 80s. Year before, mid 60s, 70s. Like, you can't just drop a point like that. So Paul Maurice got to get guys like Patrick Laine going. The Jets, they can score. They've always been one of the top teams to score in the league. They have a good power play and decent penalty kill. But because they're in a Canadian City, the expectations are high. So if the Paul Maurice want to keep the job, no bad start. I believe the Jets will have to make another trip to the conference final or possibly to the Stanley Cup final. If not, he might get canned. The next coach I want to talk about on the hot seat, he's in an interesting position, though, is the Minnesota Wild head coach, Bruce Boudreau. The reason being, new general manager, Bill Guerin. It's the third general manager Bruce Boudreau has been under in Minnesota, hired by Chuck Fletcher. Last year, Paul Fenton, the nightmare that was. And then now Bill Guerin. I think Boudreau will have to wait out and see what happens. But I think the minute Guerin got an idea of who he wanted as head coach, or maybe the pressure by Craig Lear pulled on, he might get fired. We'll see there. The last coach I'm going to talk about that is on the hot seat, and it's an interesting one, is Mike Sullivan of the Penguins. Now, here's the reason why I think Mike Sullivan is in danger. In 2012-13, in the 14 season, Dan Bylsma, the expectations were for the Penguins to win. Bylsma lost in the first round to Flyers due to bad goaltending by Fleury. Next year, they lost the conference final to the Bruins. The year after that, upset in the second round by the Rangers. When you have Crosby and Malcolm, the expectations are always going to be high. So because he did win 2 cups, maybe he might get them extra leeway. Who knows? But I think he's more on the hot seat because Rutherford's on the hot seat. Jim Rutherford has made some questionable moves. You look at that defense and picks, but I know I talked about a lot, but just look at it. You traded Ole Mata you kept Jack Johnson over Ole Mata. You still have Eric Gebrand and Mata. They are not the best players. Their stats don't prove it. You lose Ole Mata. You gotta hope a kid like Marcus Patterson play good. The prospect cabinet is bare. Matt Murray has struggled mightily since taking over the number 1 job, especially with injuries. So I think Mike Sullivan's job depends if the Penguins make the playoffs or not, or if they go through a struggling rough patch, because that Metro division has gotten better. I think he's safe, but it all depends on the performance of the team because of the cards and the changes Rutherford has done. All right, GMs we're going to talk about quickly that are on the hot seat. We don't have many. The first GM I want to talk about, Dave Talon in Florida. He was given the president of hockey operation the 2016 season, came back in the 2017 season. He's made some moves to make the team better, but they have struggled. He has made some big moves this year, bringing Joe Quenneville, the signing of Sergei Bobrovsky. The pressure's on Talon to get this Florida team to win. I know Vinny Viola wants to win as an owner to show the parents are for real. The next GM that is on the hot seat in a big way, Stan Bowman. The Hawks have missed the playoff the last 2 years. The first year, injury to Corey Crawford. But last year, he fired Joe Quenneville early in the season. They were close, but just missed out. So this year, it's a must for the Hawks to make the playoffs. Stan Bowman has been busy adding goalie Robin Leonard to make sure the goaltending certified. He improved the defense with Calvin DeHaan and Ole Mata. I think their offense is pretty good here. So it'll be interesting to see. The last GM I think on the hot seat is Doug Wilson. The big reason, can he keep the Sharks good and going? He's done that since 2006 and 7. This Shark team has been always dominant, but has Doug Wilson ran out of tricks and picks to make the team good enough? All right, I'm quickly going to talk about a couple of signings here and news that happened around the league. First thing first, Jake Gardner signed the 4-year deal in Carolina. He signed very cheap, $16 $16.2 million, a cap hit of $4.05 million. From what I heard, he was going to get $7-8 million. That's not the case. Carolina, good signing here. That defense looks really good, but they are over the cap almost by $2 million. The rumor is that Justin Falk can be traded. We'll have to wait and see for that, but the Canes D look dangerous. Joe Thornton resigned with San Jose. That's a no-brainer. Where else would Joe go? And the big one will be, I want to talk about Clayton Keller signed an 8-year deal with the Coyotes, $57.2 million, an average cap hit of $7.15 million. Keller fell in with the RFAs of Besser, Marne, Laine, Connor, to Chuck. Now the Ratnan. Now the question is going to be, how does Keller's contract affect all these other RFAs? Who knows? Some of them might say I'm worth more than Keller. I'm just around Keller. That might be a starting point. Who knows? All right, everyone. That's all I got for this week. The main focus was the coaches, the hot seat I want to talk about. In the next few weeks, I will break down the division, give my predictions. I'm not good at predictions. We've seen the playoffs, and I just don't like doing them at this time. But I'll give you my thoughts on who I think going to make the playoffs from the West and the East. Anyways, have a good one, everyone. And always remember, be watching some hockey.